child had diabetes, would you withdraw the medication? Of course you wouldn't, because they would end up dying. Hi, my name is Aisha Went, and I'm Public Speaking 100s with UMC Maryland. When you see a child with ADHD, you're looking at an internal battle within the child, trying to struggle to be good, in a sense, and do what they're asked to do, and then the impulse to do what they want to do. My credentials would be that I am a parent of a child with ADHD, have been for the past 8 years, diagnosed when he was 4, and we've been trucking ever since. He's gotten medication at 5, so I have both sides, the before medication and the after medication. I also work in special education, which I've seen multiple children with ADHD with medication and those coping without medication. I speak to you about what is medication, what is ADHD, and what it's like to not be on medication, and why individuals should be on medication. And you should finally do what's in the child's best interest. Let's start with what is ADHD. According to FDA, ADHD is actually a medical diagnosis of physical characteristics of the brain. You have neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine. The dopamine is approached to pleasure-seeking tendencies, which you often see with ADHD students or children, and the norepinephrine is for emotional and behavior regulation. These are actually changes in the differences between a typical growing child brain and a child with ADHD. Some of the characteristics of ADHD would include hyperactivity, low self-esteem, very active, inability to self-task or self-regulate. They have a tendency to be impulsive and jump from topic to topic. They're, as essentially as the definition says, seeking pleasure-seeking activities. If they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. Topics that include, or characters that include school-wide characters would be cognitive, language, motor, and emotional. These aspects affect them in school, and a good reason to have them taken care of through medication or other means. We have the choosing not to medicate. If you see the pictures that I have in front of you, I have the children who get frustrated, part characteristics of ADHD, the emotional up and downs, a roller coaster ride, so to speak, the internal battle I spoke about before. The relationship is a big characteristics about not just with their parents, but with caregivers, educational administrators. Their relationships are also affected. Their relationships with other students, with their peers, are affected. And then we have the internal battle with of self-esteem and emotional. Okay. Choosing not to medicate. The reasons not to medicate, most parents deal with that question. They don't want to alter the child. That's their child. They were born that way. That's the way they love them. That's the way they were born. You have a child that has ADHD and has fallen back, can't double-digit addition, can't double-digit subtraction, and the parent is concerned about why aren't they getting these skills, why don't they know this information, and you're worried, what can the teacher do, what can the parent do, and essentially ADHD has caused them to already miss those skills. So for the reason to restate the purpose of not medicating, do what's in the best interest of the child. Now that you see what happens when you don't medicate, let's consider what when you actually choose to medicate. Choosing to medicate, there are other affected by school and ADHD. Choosing to medicate, the reason it would improve your relationship with your parents and the peers. Is it really worth it to not medicate? So choosing to medicate, again, has to do with the best interest of the child. 2 reasons to choose to medicate. The child has better opportunities and to do more things with his life rather than concentrate on being good. You don't want a child to go into school thinking, Will I get in trouble today? Am I going to have a good day? You want them to focus on their academics, their studies, their peers, their social development. When they can tune that energy into being a child, they have less energy to be focused on behaving and doing those things that would normally come to a typical child. They have more opportunities to perform well in academic areas as well as sports areas, the attention to follow detail, follow instructions. That also affects their gross and fine motor skills in sports. However, most ADHD kids are really great in activities and sports and gross motor skills. They lack the ability to follow directions. So, can we consider these main points as options as a conclusion? You either, now that you know what ADHD is, what it's like not to medicate, and what the reasons are to medicate. I encourage you to do what's in the child's best interest. You will be a successful child, a happy child, and it's less difficult on the child itself, which is contributing to the child's best interest. Okay. That concludes my speech. Thank you.
Excellent job. Well done.